Hello everyone, I'm Rashmi Mangla. I'm working as an assistant professor for the BBA department of St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. The subject that I'll be teaching today is Human Rights and Values. This is our fifth lecture and we were doing Unit 1. The topics of Unit 1 that we'll be covering today are classification of human rights, which will be civil and political, economic, social and cultural, and solidarity rights. And we'll be studying relevant constitutional provisions relating to various rights, which will be covered under the human rights. Let's see them one by one. Now, when we talk about classification of human rights, French jurist Karel Vasek, he has classified the human rights into three main groups. Now, we can consider them as individually also. They have grouped them into, they have just put them together and grouped into three main groups, which are civil and political rights, economic, social and cultural rights, and third is solidarity rights. So this is the basic classification of human rights. Let's see them in detail one by one. First, civil and political rights. Now, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that is UDHR, which we had studied in the previous lecture also, 1948, has provided for civil and political rights under Article 2 to 21. It includes the right to life, the right to security, protection against slavery, the right to due and fair process of law, right to privacy, right to liberty of thought and expression, the right to religious freedom, the right to association and right to property. All these rights are covered under civil and political rights within Articles 2 to 21 under UDHR. The next is economic, social and cultural rights. Now again, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that is UDHR 1948, Article 22 to 27 provides for economic, social and cultural rights, which include the right to work, the right to social security, the right to protection against unemployment, the right against slavery and exploitation, the right to good living, the right to education and right to health services. So all these rights, they are covered, they are the main ones which are covered under economic, social and cultural rights, which are there in Article 22 to 27 under UDHR. Then the third one is solidarity rights. See, solidarity basically means, a sense of unity or a feeling or action of agreement. So Article 28 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 says that every person is entitled to such social and international system in which all the rights and freedoms are made available to him fully. So basically this right says that under Article 28 of UDHR, it is said that every person, har ek aadmi, is entitled, he is entitled to a social and international system in which all rights and freedoms, wherein all the rights and freedoms, they are available, wo uske paas hai completely. So nobody can, take away the rights. He is having complete rights. And in this category are included, and now in solidarity rights, the main rights which are included are the right to power, a right to just distribution of wealth, right to economic and social development, right to participate in the process of development, and right to peace. So these are the main rights which are covered under solidarity rights. Now we'll be seeing certain relevant constitutional provisions related to various rights. The main ones we'll be covering mainly. Let's see them. Now first is relevant constitutional provisions for right to life. See, as we all know, everyone has the right to life, liberty and security of person. And right to life is undoubtedly, it is the most fundamental of all rights. See, because all other rights, they add quality to the life in question and depend on the pre-existence of life itself for their operation. So basically, the right which is attached to us from our very existence, this is this right to life. Because as and when our child is born, he has this right to life. And there would have been no fundamental rights worth mentioning if Article 21, had been interpreted in its original sense. Now, what is Article 21? We'll see. See, Article 21 of the Constitution of India 1950 provides that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. So this right to life says that नो पर्सन शैल बी डिप्राइव्ड, हम किसी से उसकी पर्सनल लिबर्टी, उसकी राइट टू लिव, जो उसका जीने का हक है, वी कैन नॉट डिप्राइव, हम किसी से वो हक नहीं छीन सकते, एक्सेप्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू द प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ, बट एक्सेप्ट द प्रोसीजर ऑफ द लॉ. For example, see, we would have seen in many cases, the court offers sentence to death. Now, why is that? Because there are certain laws imposed. So, if any criminal act has been committed and that act comes under the provision wherein the judgment of the court can be such that his right to life can be taken away. So, that is a different case. So, it says that according to the procedure established by law. So, the procedure established by law, that is an exception to this right also. Now, life in Article 21 of the Constitution is not merely the physical act of breathing. Now, life doesn't only means the act of breathing. It does not connote mere animal existence. इसका मतलब सिर्फ एक animal existence or continued drudgery through life that we keep on living. It does not means that, but it has a much wider meaning, which includes the right to live with human dignity, the right to livelihood, the right to health, right to pollution-free air, etc. So, right to life means it does not give only the right to live, but it gives us various other rights along with it. And right to life is fundamental to our very existence, without which we cannot live as human beings. And it includes all those aspects of life which go to make a man's life meaningful and worth living. So these are the provisions of right to life. Now we'll see the constitution provisions for the next one. Now, relevant constitution provisions for right for liberty and dignity. Now, as we know, human dignity and liberty, it is a basic law in the state of Israel enacted to protect the country's main human rights. And it enjoys a super legal status which gives the Supreme Court the authority to disqualify any law. Any law, if it contradicts this right, they can disqualify that law. Why? So that the protection can be made. This law can be protected. Now, this law was enacted, it was enacted in the final days of 12th Knesset on 17 March 1992. And the purpose of this law, the main purpose was to protect human dignity and liberty. And apart from the main purpose, it also works for preservation of life, body and dignity. See, there should be no violation of the life, body or dignity of any person as such. Secondly, it works for protection of property. Again, there should be no violation of the property of a person. Thirdly, protection of life, body and dignity. Now, all persons, they are entitled to what? To protection of their life, protection of their body and dignity. Not only this, it also gives us personal liberty. Like, there shall be no deprivation or restriction of the liberty of a person by imprisonment, arrest, extradition or otherwise. So, these are the main things that are protected under this right. Then, we next move on to the provisions for right to equality. Now, right to equality, as we know, it is one of the 6 fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. It includes equality before law, prohibition of discrimination. Now, discrimination can be on various grounds, which we will be seeing in detail. And, in simple words, if we just say it, that it is the right to live with equal opportunities. That is what the right to equality is. And it simply treats all people to be same and that nobody can get a special privilege. This right tells us कि सब लोग equal है, सब बराबर है, nobody can get a special privilege which will dishonor any individual or group, which will dishonor any group. So let's see. As per article number 14 of our constitution, it guarantees that all people shall be equally protected by the laws of the country. Then the state will treat people in the same circumstances alike. That means whatever the circumstances are, state will treat all the people equally, alike. Right to equality not only applies to the citizen of India but also to all the people within the territory of India. It includes equality before law. It includes prohibition of discrimination. As I told you, discrimination on what grounds? on grounds of race, religion, gender, caste, or birthplace. It also includes equal opportunity. Equal opportunity in what sense? It can be in matters of employment, abolition of untouchability, and titles. And similarly, there can be no restrictions that can be imposed upon people. For example, we can say all citizens, they have access to public places like shop, restaurant, hotels, multiplexes. And similarly, no restrictions with regards to use of well, with regard to use of roads, playground, or places of public resort maintained by government. We cannot impose any restrictions on anyone except if it is needed by the law. Then we should also treat rich and poor, high and low equally before the law. Law should be unbiased, and but the judiciary must be independent and impartial if the rule of law can mean anything real. The judiciary must be unbiased, as I told you, impartial. Then let's see the constitutional provisions for the next one, that is for right against exploitation. Now, the right against exploitation enshrined in the Indian Constitution guarantees dignity of the individual. It guarantees that everybody has a right to live with dignity. Now, the right against exploitation is provided under Article 23 and 24 of the Constitution of India. It also prohibits the exploitation or misuse of service by force or inducement in the following ways. Nobody can misuse our service by force or by inducing us, that is forcing us to do anything, by the following ways. Let's see them. First, it prohibits human trafficking. Human trafficking, that is, it criminalizes buying and selling of human beings like a commodity, that nobody gives us the right. We can buy or sell human beings, and if anyone does it, it is a criminal offense. It also prohibits use of women or girls also for immoral purposes. Then it prohibits slavery, beggar, bonded labor, or other forms of forced labor. Now, so nobody can force us to do any such thing for begging, for slavery, or for any bonded labor or forced labor. And beggar is a term. It is used for practice wherein the worker has to render free service to his master at a nominal rate. So all these things, they are prohibited under this law. And then it prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories, mines, and other hazardous activities. We cannot employ any children who are below 14 years in any of the hazardous factories or mines. And our constitution, it does not explicitly forbid slavery. Any form of exploitation, whatever form of exploitation, everything is forbidden under this law. Now let's see the questions relevant to the concept. Describe the classification of human rights. Write short note on right to equality and right against exploitation. What are the constitutional provisions for right to life? Stay tuned for the upcoming lecture of Unit 1, children. Thank you.